A dirt road that was once part of an Indian trail dissects the Platt Farm preserve. It is perhaps the most treasured and attractive open and protected land in Southbury. Its unexpected location near the center of town between South Main Street and Route 172 adds to the allure of this postcard-perfect place. On the southern border of the property, there is 2,000 feet of frontage along the Pomperaug River. On the north side of the road are rolling meadows and woodlands. In between, there are 35 level acres of prime farmland. Although no longer the best kept secret in town, those who come here still feel a sense of solitude with its expansive acres and unique ecosystems, including an old-growth forest that hugs the stretch along the river. The story of how this farmland was protected and its continued legacy is one which every resident should know. From the time Southbury was settled in 1673 until the 1970s, Southbury was a farming community. Not so long ago, you were more likely to hear the mooing of cows or the clanging of sheep bells than you were to hear the rumble of traffic. The Platt land had been farmed by Bill and Lillian Platt since 1948 and by the Mitchell family before that. Ed Platt, a Southbury farmer himself and a nephew of the Platts, recalls some of the activity there.
On this cold, breezy morning, I like to think back to my Uncle Bill's farm down on Flintbridge Road, and when it was an active dairy farm. He milked probably 25 cows or so, and he and Lillian were partners in doing all the work there. Bill and Lillian both loved that farm so much. That's the reason that they decided to have the land trust take it over and be responsible for its stewardship. And they worked over 70 years there, maintaining that property to be what we see now and what we love.
But as Southbury historian Howard Clark wrote in 1973, today these handsome farms that nurtured a family economy and a more gracious way of life are being abandoned to the developer, who butchers them like so many identical hogs naked on their rows of hooks. In the late 1990s, Bill Platt, who was then in his 80s, had sold off his dairy herd after more than 7 decades of farm work. Developers had approached him countless times over the years with offers of as much as $7 million. Bill couldn't bear to see his land cut up into a subdivision. He and his wife wanted it to remain a place of rural beauty and tranquility. Tom Kreider, a Southbury Land Trust board member who was integral in protecting this property, remembers one of the stories that Bill Platt shared. Bill was out on his tractor, and a guy drove up in a Cadillac convertible.
Got off his tractor and he went down to the car, and the guy said, "How much do you want for this property?" And Bill said, "It's not for sale." And the guy said, "I got my checkbook right here. What do you want? 2 million? 3 million? Bill said, "It's not for sale." So this guy said, "I'll give you whatever you want. I'll write you a check right now." And Bill said to him, "Where are you from?" And the guy said, "I'm from Texas." And Bill said, "Fold up your checkbook, put it in your pocket, and drive back to Texas. We're done."
Bill Platt's grandson recalls the day when Bill firmly said no to $250,000 per year to host the Danbury Fair on his land.
Oh, we've been haying all day and we were just getting done chores and done milking. And phone rang and he was on the phone and he just said, no, I don't think so. And they kept going. The other end was obviously trying to convince him and maybe upping the offer a little. And he said, no, turn down $250,000 a year because he just didn't like the idea of letting the place go to something like that. So he wouldn't put it on the community and he didn't want it for himself. So that's gives you an idea of what he was like and why the farm is the way it is today.
By the fall of 1999, the Platts decided to avoid any prospect of a subdivision by offering the Southbury Land Trust an option to buy the 110-acre Platt Farm for a much reduced price tag of $1.4 million. Specifically, the Land Trust would purchase 110 acres and would obtain the development rights on another 21 acres the Platts would continue to graze cattle on. The Platts would retain ownership of the house, barns, and adjacent acres. The Land Trust recognized it would take a monumental effort to fund the purchase. The town of Southbury was the first to contribute from its Open Space Reserve Fund. Town Selectman Don Briggs explained that the land will protect an aquifer and river and will link and expand existing parkland. It preserves farmland, land suitable for hiking and fishing, and protects a significant wildlife habitat. It also contains a scenic ridgetop with commanding views of the countryside. Just about the only thing this land lacks is ocean frontage, he remarked. At a town meeting held on October 21, 1999, the voice vote to appropriate $260,000 to buy conservation restrictions on the 110-acre Platt Farm filled the jam-packed room with enthusiastic and thunderous yeas. Not a single nay was heard from the crowd of over 140 townspeople. The state of Connecticut, through a DEEP grant, gave $450,000, which left another $690,000 to be raised. The Land Trust formed a fundraising committee led by local businessman Walter Biscardi. There were minibus visits by prospective donors, mailings, tours, presentations, and a hike-a-thon that brought in over $10,000. No stone was left unturned. One anonymous donor gave $250,000, and the rest came from 1,222 people and businesses. In March of 2001, the deal was done. The Southbury Land Trust had raised $1.4 million with $16,000 to spare. The oversized wooden thermometer on Main Street South was painted red to the top, and a sign was added to say, "Thank you, Southbury." Ben Metcalf, the president of the Land Trust at that time, recalls how he felt when they hit the $1.4 million.
I guess one of the proudest moments of my life was when we had found out that we had accomplished our goal of reaching the financial commitment from the state, from the town, and of course from our private fundraising. It had been a long, hard ride. So it was a great relief because we had all worked so hard, and it was also a great feeling knowing that property that I had walked on and worked on as a kid was going to be preserved, and I would walk my dog on that road every day and just marvel at it.
From there, little changed. The Platt family would continue to live in the house and graze cattle on the land. Their grandson, Will, would cut the hay a few times a year. Tom Kreider spoke to the many reporters who splashed the deal on the front page of the local papers. I must say, it's good to know that 100 years from now, when all the other farms are gone, this one is going to be here. In addition, he said, our thoughts all along were to leave it visually just the way it is. That spring, hiking trails were created for outdoor enthusiasts to explore the fields and meander along the river. In addition, Floodbridge Road was designated as a scenic road, and a Pampero River Greenway, named after Dr. Mark Taylor, was designated by the state. Dr. Taylor also played a key role in preserving Platt Farm. As we mark our 20th year of managing this crown jewel, as it has become known, Platt Farm Preserve continues to be ideal for hiking, birding, cross-country skiing, sledding, and picnicking. The expansive hayfields are mowed by the Hannon family, and the trails maintained by Land Trust staff and volunteers. It is rumored to be the most photographed piece of property in town and has been memorialized over the years by photographer Wallace Nutting and many painters, including Peter Puskas and Tom Atkins. We also welcome the news this year that Bill and Lillian Platt's great-grandson, Will Kennedy Jr., has purchased the farmhouse and will continue farming the land.
Hi, I'm Will Kennedy Jr. I'm the great-grandson of Bill and Lillian Platt, and technically the owner of this farm. But in all reality, I'm just a steward of the land. And with that, we want to plan to preserve it. We want to keep all the natural beauty and keep it the staple of the town that it is. So we appreciate everything that Land Trust has done, the town of Southbury has done to keep it as a one-of-a-kind property. And I believe that's exactly how my great-grandfather would want it. So thank you.